Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place that takes sources you're interested in and, well, we really unpack them, get to the heart of it. Today, we're diving into a really timeless piece, Psalm 9. Our mission, if you will, is to see what this ancient song, it's actually a song of praise by King David, what it tells us about God's character, and importantly, his active role, like a really personal role in people's lives.
Yeah, and what's so striking, I think, is you look at a lot of ancient texts, even religious ones, and you get this idea of a deity who's kind of distant, impersonal maybe.
Yeah.
But Psalm 9, it paints this incredibly vivid, very personal picture of God. It's just a great reminder, really, that there's always more to learn, especially about the divine and, how we relate to it.
Okay, right. So let's unpack this. We're going to look at how this psalm, which maybe on the surface seems like just a victory song,
Yeah.
how it actually unfolds into something, well, much deeper, a declaration of faith, of justice, and honestly, pretty relevant for anyone trying to understand God. So David kicks off Psalm 9, verses 1 and 2, with just this huge wave of gratitude. He says, I give thanks to Adonai with all my heart. I will tell about all your wonderful deeds. I will be glad and exult in you. I will sing praise to your name, Elyon. It feels really immediate, the thanks. Does this connect back to Psalm 8?
Yeah.
Where he was praising God for, creation?
Oh, absolutely. It definitely connects, and I'd say it even deepens it. You see, when David uses these specific names, Adonai and El Elyon, he's not just picking random words for God. Elyon, that's like my Lord. It really emphasizes God's sovereignty, sure, but also that personal relationship. He's master. And then El Elyon, well, that's God Most High. So that points straight to his supreme authority. He's the creator of everything. So right there in the first couple of lines, David's hitting both the all-powerful creator and his personal Lord. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? What does it actually mean when the creator of the universe also, gets involved so personally, allows for this kind of close praise?
Yeah, and that's where, for me, it gets really interesting, verses 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
David's praise shifts, becomes super personal. He says, when my enemies turn back, they stumble and perish before you. For you upheld my cause as just, sitting on the throne as the righteous judge.
See, he's not just talking cosmic stuff anymore. He's praising God for stepping in, for fighting for him personally. Wow, it's very direct.
It is. And, Psalm 9, written centuries before the New Testament, it shows just how intimately David felt God's intervention. It really lays some amazing groundwork for understanding that kind of deep personal relationship with God. David isn't just saying, oh, God is powerful. He's saying, God is powerful for me.
And that feeling, that experience, it totally echoes the kind of personal connection we see fully laid out, through Jesus Christ later on. Think about it. A lot of ancient faiths had gods who were kind of detached, maybe watching, maybe not. But David, he feels the hand of El Elyon, the Most High God, the Creator, right there in his daily battles, his struggles, his wins. That kind of personal engagement, having God as your advocate, well, that's a powerful reason to sing praise, isn't it? It's not just theology for David, it's real life, right in the thick of it.
Then David kind of zooms out again, describing God's massive power. Verses 5 and 6. You rebuked the nations, destroyed the wicked, blotted out their name forever and ever. The enemy is finished, in ruins forever. You destroyed their cities, all memory of them is lost. Wow, that's not just winning a battle. That sounds like total annihilation, complete victory.
It really does. It's a picture of just overwhelming, decisive power. And, as the creator, God's the only one who really has that authority, that power to grant that kind of total victory, to literally blot out a name, a memory forever. And importantly, this isn't just David looking back. It's presented almost like an ongoing reality, a promise for those who trust God. The sheer scope of his power and justice, wiping out even the memory of enemies, it's meant to be awe-inspiring. His victories are fun.
But it's not only about battles on earth, right? Even huge ones. Verses 7 and 8, they shift again, emphasizing God's eternal nature, his role as the judge for everyone. But Adonai is enthroned forever. He has set up his throne for judgment. He will judge the world in righteousness. He will judge the peoples fairly. It's not just a general statement, is it? It feels like it connects to, like John's vision of Revelation 21, that ultimate judgment. It reminds you that God doesn't just rule forever. He actually knows every single one of us personally. And his judgment will be perfectly fair. That's got to be comforting for the oppressed.
Oh, absolutely. And that brings up a really key point about cause and effect, divine justice. We all know that saying, what goes around comes around, right? Kind of implies this impersonal cosmic balancing act. But Psalm 9, especially verses 15 and 16, listen to this. The wicked are ensnared in the work of their own hands. It says, this isn't just bad luck, it's not some random force, it's a direct result of God's active justice. He's making himself known, executing judgment. It's like, setting a trap for someone else and then falling into it yourself.
No.
And that connects perfectly, doesn't it, to what Paul says in Galatians. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. It just underlines that God is deeply involved in the moral fabric of the universe. He makes sure justice wins out, not by magic, but by his direct action.
Okay, so that's the case. When we're facing tough times, when everything feels chaotic or stacked against us, what does this mean for us? Practically. David gives this incredible comfort, verses 9 and 10. Adonai is a stronghold for the oppressed, a tower of strength in times of trouble.
Yeah.
Those who know your name put their trust in you, for you have not abandoned those who seek you, Adonai. That's such a strong image, isn't it? Refuge. Safety.
It really is. And it speaks volumes about God's faithfulness.
Yeah.
It's unwavering. That's like a cornerstone of his character. David knew this firsthand. God hasn't turned his back on his people, ever. And the psalm reassures us he never will. So when we're in those trials, those tough spots, he's not just watching from afar. He is our peace, our rest, our solid ground when everything else is shaking. That faithfulness, that consistency, it's this constant source of strength, of comfort for anyone who truly knows him, who puts their trust there. It's like an open invitation to find peace right in the middle of the storm.
And then for people who might actually be doing the harming, oppressing others. There's a pretty stark warning here too, and a promise of defense. Verses 11 and 12. Sing praises to Adonai, who lives in Sion. Proclaim his deeds among the peoples. For the avenger of blood remembers them. He does not ignore the cry of the afflicted. So this isn't a passive God just letting injustice happen. He's positioned here as an active defender, an avenger even, for those who've been wronged. Maybe clarified Sion for us. What's that referring to?
Yeah, good question. Sion or Zion often means Jerusalem, specifically like the Temple Mount area. But it's more than just geography. It symbolizes God's presence, where he dwells among his people, where he rules from. So when David says, sing praises to Adonai who lives in Sion, he's saying God is right there, active, present in his holy place, listening. He hears the cries of the afflicted. He remembers them. So yeah, the message is clear. Anyone looking to harm God's people, they should probably take note of this passage, because when his people cry out, he hears and he acts. David praised God for that protection, that justice, and we can too. There's deep reassurance there.
Then David swings back to his own personal situation. Verses 13 and 14, it's this mix of his suffering and this passionate need to praise God. Have mercy on me, Adonai. See how I suffer from those who hate me. You raise me from the gates of death, so that I can proclaim all your praises at the gates of the daughter of Sion and rejoice in this deliverance of yours. It really hits home, doesn't it? How important it is to praise God after he delivers you, not just yell for help during the crisis.
It's so true. And it's such a human thing, isn't it? We cry out when things are bad. We plead, we bargain maybe, but then afterwards, when the storm passes, maybe we forget or just move on too quickly. We don't pause to really give thanks. This verse just makes you wonder, how often do we stop and really acknowledge how God stepped in, give specific thanks for the ways he brought us through, maybe pulled us back from our own gates of death, those times we felt completely lost or hopeless? David's showing that real praise isn't just, general gratitude. It's about naming the specifics, seeing his personal touch.
Yeah. Okay, then finally, David looks at the really big picture again, the ultimate consequences, verses 17 and 18. The wicked will return to Sheol, all the nations that forget God, for the poor will not always be forgotten, or the hope of the needy perish forever. This is really stark contrast, isn't it, between those who forget God, trust their own smarts maybe, and those who are humble, who know they need him. The wicked basically dig their own pit. And maybe, what exactly is Sheol?
Right. Sheol, it's a Hebrew word for the grave, the realm of the dead, often pictured as this kind of shadowy underworld. So David's saying, look, the wicked, those who ignore God, who act unjustly, their path leads to ultimate destruction, a dead end spiritually and physically, no coming back from that. But in contrast, those who are needy, who are humble, who look to God for, everything. They trust him, and God is faithful to them. Their hope won't perish. It connects everything back to the big picture. God's faithfulness ultimately triumphs over human pride and defiance. It's a powerful statement about accountability.
And that ending, verses 19 and 20, it's just so bold, so absolute. Arise, Adonai. Don't let mortals prevail. Let the nations be judged in your presence. Strike them with terror, Adonai. Let the nations know they are only human. It's like a final plea for God to just show up and settle things, isn't it? Ultimate vindication.
Totally. It's a prayer for God to just step in and decisively put his sovereignty on display over all the human arrogance, the rebellion. It's almost this desperate cry for universal justice, an admission that, look, left to ourselves, humans will make a mess of things, evil might seem to win, but with God's intervention, their true status, just human, limited, will be undeniable. And yeah, that day is coming. We see it echoed in the prophets and Revelation. And for those who trust him, it's going to be a day of rejoicing, the final proof of God's perfect justice.
So taking all this in, what does it really mean for you listening right now? Beyond just, understanding an old text, we've seen Psalm 9 isn't just some dusty poem. It's this living, breathing declaration of God being personally involved, actively involved in our lives. His justice is unwavering, playing out personally and universally. And he's completely reliable, our stronghold when things get tough.
Yeah, this whole deep dive, it really shows that knowing God, it's not just about agreeing with ideas in your head. It means trusting him, trusting his active presence, his fairness, his faithfulness. Even when things look bleak, it really pushes you to think critically, doesn't it, about how you see God working, or how justice unfolds, not just in history books, but like in your own life. In the world today, it's really an invitation to lean into that trust more deeply.
Yeah, it's just a powerful reminder that why we praise God is tied so closely to understanding who he actually is, his character, his consistent action for his people, then and now. Wow, what a deep dive into Psalm 9. It really does make you think, doesn't it? How often do we genuinely stop and, celebrate God's personal work in our lives? The small things, the big things.
And maybe that leaves us all with a really important question to chew on. What does it truly mean for you personally to know God's name and to actually put your trust in him? Not just as a concept, but in the messy day-to-day stuff, the challenges, the wins. How does understanding his character, like we've seen in Psalm 9, actually change how you walk through your own life?
Lots to think about there. Thank you for joining us on The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and stay curious.